This is me, and I am about to perform a classical piece in front of some people at a piano recital. I enjoy music, and I am developing a real love for classical composers at this point. Since an early age, I spend most of my spare time practicing Bach, Mozart, or Chopin. It's just part of my daily routine. But just a little while after this video was taken, an unexpected event happened in my life. Something that will change my musical vision and my life forever. I was lucky I was sitting down in that afternoon because what was coming out of my father's music stereo made me tremble from excitement. Was that really a piano? Wait, how could a piano sound like that? I didn't understand a thing of what I was listening to. I just remember thinking I also wanted to play like that. So it was then, at that precise moment, when I knew exactly what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Today's video is sponsored by me. Whether you are a beginner or an advanced player, my How to Bebop book series have all the information you need to take your playing to the next level. Technique routines, harmony exercises, improvisations, transcriptions, the perfect companions for your practice sessions. Link in the description down below. I have always been deeply connected to music thanks to this guy. It turns out he's a music lover too. He grew up in a small village close to Valencia, where almost everyone knows how to play an instrument. It is an amazing place. And although he didn't play an instrument himself, he developed a big love for music. At some point, he became obsessed with jazz and started buying CDs compulsively. When I was a kid, he already had a few hundred records collection. Unfortunately, at that time, I thought jazz was boring and I had absolutely no interest in that kind of music. Lucky for me, he kept trying. So one day, when I was 14, he put a CD in stereo and told me, "Look, listen to this pianist. They call him Mad Chopin." So I thought, well, how bad could this be if they compare him with one of my favorite composers? Then I sat down and got ready to listen. That pianist was Art Tatum, widely considered as the greatest jazz piano player of all times. The GOAT. What was this sorcery? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It sounded like there were at least 2 piano players in there. How can one guy make a piano sound like that? After listening to Art Tatum on that day, I never looked at the piano in the same way. I just couldn't understand how a piano could sound like that. I didn't know how, but I wanted to play like Art. Over the years, I have heard many similar stories from fellow piano players around the world. It usually goes like this. Young piano player who studies the instrument for a few years, one day he or she listens to Art Tatum's piano solo albums, blows his or her mind, and wants to become a jazz piano player. It's not a coincidence. He's influenced whole generations of piano players around the world. A true revolutionary of the instrument and of music.
My God, man, when you just sit back and just listen to Art Tatum, you just don't believe what you're hearing. The closest person that I've ever heard to him was Oscar Peterson.
Yeah. And my dad was quietly watching all this. He was very quiet, and I never said too much. And I think somewhere in the back of his mind, he got the feeling that I was getting a little too egotistical about it. And one day he came home and he said, "I got something I want you to hear." I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "It's a record." I said, "Yeah, what is it?" And he put on the record. I'll never forget, it was Art Tatum's Tiger Rag.
Oh, that's enough to kill you.
It almost did.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I didn't play piano. I gave up the piano for 2 solid months and had crying fits at night. I did. I was serious. You know, I really did. I can vividly remember, Andre, and I kid you not when I say this.
You know you have achieved the pinnacle of your career as an artist when you change lives left and right all over the world through your work. Art Tatum was also a true character. He was feared by all the piano players of his generation. As soon as he walked into a jazz club, people would start whispering, "Art Tatum is here." That was more than enough to scare any piano player in the building. Nobody wanted to play before him. They just didn't want to get humiliated.
Oh, I met Art many, many years ago, and we were traveling through Toledo, and I was with Benny Moten, you know, and I made the mistake. We stopped over in Toledo for a stopover, you know, and I made the mistake of said there was a piano there in this little room, you know, and just I don't know what made me sit down at this piano and play. And in those days, I thought I could stride a little bit, you know, and somebody walked over to me and said, "It's just Art Tatum being here, man."
For reasons I can only wonder, there are not that many video recordings of Art Tatum, nor interviews. It seems like he wasn't properly acknowledged outside of the jazz music circles at the time. Most of the videos you will see of him are playing in the background for some movies behind conversations. And it's been said that he didn't make that much money out of his performances either. I think maybe that's one of the reasons he became so famous later on for the bigger audiences. The mouth-to-mouth inevitably made his fame explode, and definitely played a huge role on his recognition as a music genius. Every musician's dream is to create a legacy after him or her. That's the real definition of success for any artist. And Art Tatum earned his right to be at the top of Jazz Olympus' podium long ago. And nobody can take that spot from him.
Hello, may I speak with Art Tatum, please?
Yes, it is, Art.
Art, sorry to invade your privacy. I know you're a busy guy, but we conduct live on-the-air interviews by way of phone and proxy. We wanted the audience to meet you because we have so many people who listen to Art Tatum and have revered him during the years, and we wanted to talk to him personally.
Right.
How are you tonight?
Pretty good, Larry.
I know there's one thing in particular that was mentioned in one of our party line calls the other night. Oscar Peterson, the young Canadian pianist, mentioned that the three pianists that influenced him the most were Art Tatum, Nat Cole, and Teddy Wilson. We've always wondered who influenced you and inspired you to play the way you do.
Well, I can say that by saying Lee Sims and Fats Waller.
And they were the people that influenced you the most.
That's correct.
Still to this day, more than 20 years after I was sitting with my father in that afternoon, I am not able to play like Art Tatum. I'm not even remotely close to that. I realized long ago I would never be able to achieve that dream I had when I was 14. But it was probably for a good reason. There is no need for another Art Tatum. The world already had one, and unless someone wants to imitate him in order to learn from his musical vocabulary, there is no reason for anyone to play exactly like him. He probably didn't want for anyone to play exactly like him anyways.
Did you try to imitate him after that?
No. Happily, I didn't. No. What I did was I listened, as I still do, religiously. But I think, had I listened to Art Tatum, I would have become much the same as several pianists that I know in various parts of the world. And I had that same experience, and I'm glad I didn't, because I remember after I did my concert, where it was, I was very young, I was 20, 21, they took me over to hear this pianist to play something for me. He played Man I Love, straight Tatum, note for note. You know. He said, play something else, Sweet Lorraine or something else. Tatum. And I think I asked him for I've Got Rhythm, right? And at that time, Art Tatum hadn't recorded I Got Rhythm.
Yeah.
And he couldn't play it. That's really a true story. He couldn't play it.
The amount of people from all over the world that were influenced to play piano jazz because of his music is really incalculable. So many people drawn to jazz because of his work. Just like I was when I listened to this CD on that day in my father's living room. His style was impeccable, his technique flawless. His music will live forever. He is the best ever, and there is no one who can match him.
Finally,
And he couldn't see, by the way.
you had to bring that up, right?
Yeah.